sine of 18 over little a. Good. Hardest part of this is just setting it up. Next, okay, so we did all of law of sines. Now let's go through and set up all the law of cosine equations. This might be tricky to explain. Now, the first one, it doesn't matter which formula you use, because you know all three sides. Remember, there were three formulas. There was this one, and this one. Because you don't know any angle, it doesn't matter which one you use. Okay. Christina, which one do you want to use? Doesn't matter in this case. This one, where it equals a squared plus b squared. Right? Double check. I think I haven't memorized yet. Okay. And then you just fill in. What's little c? Little c is 4. What's little a? 2. What's little b? 5. What's little a? 2. What's little b? And then what's the cosine? We don't know c, right? Almost had to put it all in there. So using this, I could find an angle. And once I have angle c, then I can start using law of sines. Does that make sense? So you're going to solve this for angle C. And we're going to spend another day on that. Next. We want to use the formula that talks about cosine of A, because that's the only angle we know. So we want to use the formula that talks about cosine of A. If you flip it over, the one that uses cosine of A is this one, the first one, right? Because this uses cosine B, this uses cosine C. So we're going to use the first one, a squared equals b squared plus c squared. And then fill in. Well, little a is, what's little a? We don't know. So we're going to keep it little a. What's little b? 15. What's little c? 9. Minus 2 times 15 times 9, right? I usually just copy those two numbers over here. And then times cosine of 108, right? A. And then using all that, we can find the length of side A, which is across from angle A. Make sense? Next. We know side, side, side. Again, it depends. Do you want to find this angle first, or this angle, or this angle? So, I don't care which formula you use. Now, if they said, what is angle A? Then I would use the one that talks about cosine of A. Sometimes they don't ask you to solve the whole thing. But if they don't care, just pick one. Which one do you want, Christina? The one that says cosine of, or b squared equal? You want to use that one? Okay, so she wants to use the one that says b squared equals a squared plus c squared, I had this memorized, minus 2ac times cosine of big B, right? And that's what she would use if she was trying to find this thing. Since we have to find all three angles, it doesn't matter, okay? Plug it in. Little b is 4. Little a is 5, right? Little c is 7. Minus 2 times 5 times 7 times cosine of b. We don't know what b is, so that's what we're trying to find. And then one more. Side angle side. And again, if you want to make this be A, B, and C. We know this. So we're going to use the one that has cosine of A. Cosine of A would be what? Little a squared equals b squared plus c minus 2bc times cosine of A, right? Plugging in little a, we don't know. Little b, 9. Little c, 13. 2 times 9 times 13 times cosine of 72 degrees. By the way, this is on the ACT, and this is one of the higher level questions, usually past question 30. And a lot of kids don't know how to do it. It's really not that hard. Oops, are you still copying that? So what's your homework? Homework's right here. I don't want you to solve any of them. I just want you first to decide. I would go through these 10 problems and then decide, and that's 2 pages front and back, just so you know. And decide, are you using law of sines or law of cosines, and set up the problem. And then tomorrow I'll teach you how to solve these ratios, proportions. Okay? So all you're going to do is set them up today. And I know they ask questions, which is fine, but just draw a triangle, tell me which one you would use, and then set it up. Okay? Now, like here, they ask you only for measure of angle A, so if it's one of those where it doesn't matter, then it probably does matter this time. Check that before you solve them all. The objective today was, can you set up law of sine and cosine problems? And then tomorrow will be, can you solve law of sine and cosine problems? And then, because I haven't taught you how to solve, there are 2 IXLs out there. Law of sines, law of cosines, and then solve. But because I haven't taught you how to solve, I'm not going to assign them yet. But if you wanted to log in, I'm going to try to give you more time. By no means do I think you should get both these done today. But if you wanted to log in, it will teach you how to solve. But I would concentrate your time and energy on setting them up and deciding which one before you do those two. And I'll give you more time to do those in class. Okay? So your homework. You're not actually going to solve them. And it says on the top, it is the law. It's 2 pages, the ones I just referenced a few minutes ago. You're just going to decide, which one am I going to use? Law of sines, law of cosines. If you could use either, which happens sometimes, you want to always use law of sines, if you can. So just go through, set them up. Tomorrow we'll solve. Questions? That's all I got.